Is it possible that the best and the worst of the 2009 Big 12 football schedule comes courtesy of the Oklahoma Sooners? From the Ford Sports Desk at the Opubco Studios in Oklahoma City, I'm Mike Sherman, and you're watching the Big 12 Show. My guest is Oklahoma columnist Barry Tramel, who has ranked the Big 12 schedule from 1 to 96. Barry, what's the criteria for these rankings that you can see right now at News OK?
Well, I just looked at about three factors. I looked at sort of sizzle of the matchup in terms of name appeal. I also looked at the likely competitiveness of the game. Is it likely to be a fourth quarter game? And I also looked at likely importance. Two mediocre teams could play a great game in November, but who's going to care? So those were my three factors.
Okay, did compiling these rankings tell you anything about really what the Big 12 has in store for football fans this year?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious two things. The dominance still resides in the South. Last year we had three teams in the Big 12 tie for the South Division at 7-1. All three went 11-1, had the notorious three-way tie. Same thing could happen this year. Oklahoma State's ranked in the top 8, 10, 12 in the national polls, along with Oklahoma and Texas. So the power still resides in the South, and the North is wide open. No one really knows what to make of the North. There's no clear-cut favorite. There's not any two clear-cut favorites. So the North is wide open.
Okay, Barry, let's start with the bottom. You ranked the Sooners' home opener against Idaho State as number 96. Why?
Well, at number 95, I ranked Northern Colorado at Kansas. Northern Colorado is a 1AA team that last season went 1-10. That lone victory over Idaho State. So it was pretty a natural order of the way it fell. It's one of the, I think it's the biggest mismatch in Oklahoma history. Last season, Chattanooga was, held that distinction, at least since, say, World War I. It's just two teams that don't have any business playing against each other on the same football field. But the economics of college football being what they are, we have matchups like that. So that one was fairly easy.
The best is also fairly easy, isn't it?
Well, I think so. Oklahoma, Texas hits all criteria at the top level. It's been a fabulous rivalry. It's been a de facto Big 12 title game much of the last decade. All the intrigue from last year's three-way tie and all the politics and all the sniping and the fan rancor. I think it's going to be one of the most anticipated OU Texas games ever, and also going to be about as important as any of them.
Okay, Barry, what other top 10 games are you looking forward to?
Well, it's actually, it's not a bad year in the league for marquee non-conference matchups. You got Georgia coming to Oklahoma State. Georgia historically has not left the southeastern part of the country. Last year they went to Arizona State. This year they're coming to Stillwater. Huge game for the Cowboys. You also have Nebraska going to Virginia Tech. The Huskers are usually good for about one marquee game a year, and this is it, and it's a good one. So an early read on Bo Pelini. Oklahoma goes to Miami, the scene of many of their disappointing defeats of the last 20 years. So Miami's been down for the last several years, but you never know when the Hurricanes are going to rear up and be their old selves. So I'm looking forward to those marquee matchups, non-conference.
Okay, is there a game that you spotted as you were going through these rankings that you initially ranked low and maybe still did, but you think it's got potential to hop up there as an interesting game?
I really do, and it's an oldie that used to have importance, and that's Nebraska at Colorado. When you look at who's going to win the North, very difficult to get a read on. One thing you can do is look at the scheduling, and Colorado has a very, very favorable schedule to get some things done. What figures to be their three chief rivals in the North, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, all come to Boulder. If Colorado could somehow get to 4-3 in the Big 12, hosting Nebraska on Thanksgiving Friday, there's a chance Colorado could sneak into that Big 12 title game. So look out for the Buffaloes.
Okay, thanks, Barry. That's all for this edition of the Big 12 Show, but for all things Big 12, you can stay with the best coverage team anywhere, every day at News OK, and every morning in the Oklahoman.